Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Older Brother. And today we're going to talk about how to stay calm when life feels out of control. I'm going to try to talk about this from my personal experience, also from the point of view of some knowledge that I've been trying to get after certain things in my life happen. I try to help myself to understand what happened. I went to the doctors. I practiced meditation. I was reading lots about these topics. So I feel like there is many tools that you can check if you are feeling like your life is out of control. Because yeah, there are moments in life where everything feels out of control, not just externally, like out of control with money, with decisions. Probably you see everything is uncertain, or like there is no certain about anything. Uh, and also, probably you feel like some things internally are also out of control, like your thoughts don't stop, your body feels tense, your attention jumps from one problem to another. And what is interesting is that when it happens, most people think the problem is life itself. But what you are really experiencing could be a loss of internal regulation. So the real problem is not just stress. Probably the real problem is that your system is not regulated. And we often use the word stress very loosely, like for everything. We just use the word stress. But from a scientific perspective, sometimes what could be happening, it's more specific. As I said, is like probably your system is becoming dysregulated. So your system can be affected if you are dealing, for example, with cognitive overload. It's like too many inputs, like lots of information, too many decisions to make, not certain about anything, um, or you're dealing with emotional reactivity, like you feel fear, you fear anxiety, you can feel pressure, or probably you are dealing with some physiological activation, like you feel your heart rate increasing, probably your breathing is getting like shallower, or you feel tension in your muscles, your tendons. And all those things are not really separate things. They are all part of one integrated system. When life feels out of control, what is really happening is that your mind and your body are no longer coordinated in a stable way. So I'm gonna tell you something that happened in my life. It was a few years ago. I was working for a tourism company in New Zealand. I was working in a very beautiful area in some fjords, and I was chef. So I was cooking in one of the boats of the company, and I was trying to do my best in that job. So I work on an overnight cruise. I was the only chef on board during 7 days in a row. So I live and work 7 days in the boat. My um my work, my job start like around 5:30 every morning. So at that time, I should be working already in the galley of the boat, starting with the breakfast and all the preps I need for the day. And in the best case, if everything is good, probably I would be finishing around 9 or 9:30 p.m. So it's a quite long shift. You are the only one there, and you have the responsibility to keep everything organized, to do all the management, to do all the physical uh, job. And if you want to do it well, obviously you need to put some effort. Like the thing is like I was working with many ovens and many things at the same time. So I feel the cognitive overload because all the time it was alarms beeping, things happening, fast movements in the kitchen. Like I have to get ready many things. I need to make decisions like what I'm doing today, what I'm cooking today, what I'm gonna be tonight. Like I need to do the food ordering. I was in the middle of a very isolated region. If I forget to order something, sorry, but I won't have that thing, like, because we are in the middle of nowhere. So it was like many inputs and so many decisions that also made me feel emotional reactivity. So I was feeling anxiety and pressure. So I remember that when I wake up every morning, I was feeling the anxiety and the pressure to run and do the things, get the things done as soon as possible, do it well. And then at the end of the night, I also had the anxiety of what is going to happen tomorrow. I remember I also deal with physiological activations like during the day. Sometimes I feel my breath was like very shallow, like and fast. I feel tension in my body, like my legs were under tension, my back, my arms. And sometimes I just find myself with a heart rate, like feeling the heart rate like very fast. And one day, when all those things were activated, I remember that I was in the galley of the boat, and suddenly I just turn and see the window and the door. And my first thought there was like, I'm just gonna run and jump to the sea. And for one moment, I just stop everything and then say like, why I'm thinking this? Like, what's happening to me? So that day I said like, probably I'm not well in this moment. This is not an activity that I can do anymore. And yeah, I felt my system wasn't good. And I felt that my life was out of control. Uh, Probably I felt at that moment that my mind and my body were not like very coordinated and stable. So I just say like I need to quit. And that day I quit my job. Then I I look for support. Like I went to the doctor, and the doctor said like, um, yeah, probably you have symptoms of some anxiety and depression. So you need to work on that. It's moderate anxiety, but you need to work on that. And it was the first time I felt those things. Like probably I was just taking those things before as it's anxiety, it's depression. So probably nothing real or important. But when I saw the doctor for the first time and he was looking at me seriously and saying that I had to uh, manage that thing to get well again. And he referred me to an specialist. I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go and try and see. For me, the most important thing at that moment was quit my job and just think that I needed some time to recover myself, recover my system. And when I went to the specialist, he was a doctor, and she told me something about my nervous system. She said that I was during long time with my sympathetic nervous system activated. Like that system is the one that activates the fight or flight mode. So she told me that I need to rebalance again my system and give some recovery to process all these things, try to do different activities like stay active to recover, obviously, my physical body, but also take care of my emotions, like do the things I like. Well, she very much what she said is like my sympathetic nervous system was activated for a long time, and it just altered my my system, and then I just got anxiety and depression. And at that time, I started to try to get back my life, take control of my life again. I know probably you, if you listen or you watch in the video, you have a different story. Probably something different happened to you and you already overcome that, or probably you are on the way to do it. So it's good to know that at least you have like um, diagnostic about what's happening, and that you can know that you need to regulate your system again. And there is many tools to do it, like to be honest. And one of those really important tools is, for me, meditation. And I'm trying to promote meditation in this channel as much as I can, because it's something that really, really, really helped me. Um, I'm still like trying to practice meditation every day. And as I felt so different and I'm learning many things about meditation, I also start to do some workshops about meditation, trying to create the space for more people to practice meditation. I think you have nowadays like lots of information, and you have many tools to practice um, meditation. So I'll come back later to that practice. But yeah, it was very important what she told me about my nervous system, because at the end, what I learned is like you have two um, branches, two main branches in your autonomic nervous system. One is the sympathetic nervous system, that it's the responsible to activate stress like fight or flight. And you have the parasympathetic nervous system that promotes recovery. All the things related with rest, with digestion, to process information, to recovery, practically. In general speaking, when you perceive uncertainty, pressure, or a threat, could be like real or just imagine the threat, your sympathetic system becomes dominant. So it activates your stress, and then you are in fight or flight mode to run many or long hours. Could be like, it depends the case. But this leads to increase her heart rate. Like, you will feel it. Probably you will realize probably you are breathing like shallower, faster, or you have muscle tensions, um, or your alertness is just like, like you increase your state of alertness and feel like with lots of alertness. And this response of the nervous system is very useful, but in short bursts. If the response is active during so much time, during long periods, um, it can be dangerous for you, because this response is designed, or it evolved to help you to survive when you are facing immediate danger. But the problem is that in modern life, this system is activated not by physical threats, like you are not trying to save your life from a predator, but by psychological ones. Probably you feeling the pressure of getting more money, like what's happening with the future, maybe an identity crisis, or so many expectations, or what happened to me, like trying to do the things well and then putting so much effort on them, and then you feel probably anxiety and those kind of things. There is research from like many sources that shows that chronic activation of a stress response, I mean like the sympathetic nervous system, is associated with increased anxiety. That's exactly what happened to me. For some people, or some reactions are also probably, the immune function can be affected. Some people can have even higher risk of cardiovascular disease, or even reduce emotional regulation. So when you say I feel overwhelmed, it's not just a feeling. It's it's a kind of a physiological state that you can measure. So that's pretty much so important, that you recognize that you feel overwhelmed. If you feel overwhelmed, remember, it's not just a feeling, it's also something that you can feel in your physiological system. And yeah, I understood pretty much that from my conversation with the specialist. Um, but I also learned that at the same time, In those cases, something important happens in the brain, like the amygdala, which is responsible for detecting threats, becomes more active. And the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision making, for impulse control, for rational thinking, for long-term planning, um, becomes less active. So what's happening is like when the amygdala becomes more active, then probably you are doing less, or your outputs in decision making, impulse control, rational thinking, long term planning, your outputs related with those activities are um, deficient. Like you are probably not doing the best job when you are under that state. So you become more reactive and less reflective. And I remember, and I want to highlight again that episode when I just saw the window and I just wanted to jump. It was a reaction like of my body, my mind just saying like, just go away, you know? And it was not very reflective to be honest. And uh, it's like you actually lose access to your best thinking. So that's very important for us to regulate our system to protect the reaction of our nervous system, especially the sympathetic nervous system. So don't keep activated for long time the fight or flight mode. Um, because this is why when in moments of stress, small problems can feel bigger. Sometimes make a decision can be harder, like also can be like emotions feel like stronger. So very much we need to take care of our nervous system, sympathetic nervous system. We need to take care also of our amygdala, our prefrontal cortex. Just don't stimulate them too much for a long time. And from that thought, from that talk with the doctor, I also learned something about attention and awareness. And this is another key component. I think attention is a very key component, talking about um, what how to stay calm, when you feel that your life is out of control. And under stress, your attention becomes narrow. Um, your attention is just focused on the threat. Probably your thoughts are repetitive, like what they call rumination. And you start looping, like, what if this goes wrong? What should I do? What if I fail? What if, all those kind of loops that you start to have. And this is not random. This is your brain trying to solve uncertainty. But without any regulation, it becomes rumination. So not problem solving. And attention here is very important because it's a skill that can help you to overcome this situation and It's a tool that can help you to claim back control over your life. And this is when also meditation comes to be very important in this topic, because meditation trains something very specific, and is the meta awareness. What it means: this is basically the ability to notice your thoughts. It's the option to observe your emotions and to recognize patterns. So you can notice your thoughts, observe your emotions, recognize your patterns without being completely absorbed by them. That's something that meditation do for you. And there is many studies that supports that evidence. Like, they talk about meditation, but also about mindfulness practices. And it's basically those practices reduce rumination, improve attention control, increase emotional regulation, decreases stress related symptoms. So meditation is not just relaxing, it is training a cognitive skill. So if you are curious about meditation, if you have been practicing meditation, if you have any interest, like if you do some research about meditation, you will know that that's true. Like, I've been experiencing that, and even like more benefits from meditation practice. So when you practice meditation, several things happen at the same time. One thing that happens is related with your breath. So when you breathe slow, when you control your breathing, it stimulates your vagus nerve, which activates the parasympathetic system. So what happens is that the input that you got from life, your stress, your anxiety, all the threats that you can be imagining, they are activating your sympathetic nervous system. But to regulate that activation, you need to also activate the parasympathetic system. So when you breathe slow, when you control your breathing, then you are regulating your nervous system. So this leads to reduce the heart rate, lower the blood pressure, and experience a sense of calm. Like, I practice meditation Monday to Friday during 45 minutes to 1 hour. That's my basic. Sometimes I practice more per day or per week, but that's my regular standard. When I practice that, even in few minutes of controlling my breathing, I feel that in my body. I feel just a sense of calm that sometimes is difficult even to describe, because you really feel calm and bliss and joy, and it's just many things happening in your nervous system. But also, I feel like my heart rate is also calm, that my blood pressure is so right, Uh, so that's a very, very good thing that is happening when you practice meditation. Another thing that is happening during your meditation practice is that you are able of claim your attention back. So the attention is going to strengthen your cognitive control. And when you focus your attention on the breath or on the body, it activates the prefrontal cortex. And over the time, this improves like your capacity to focus. So you are focused on the things that really matter. You can control your impulse your impulses, so you have a gap in between reactions, which is very useful in life, and you feel like emotional stability. So during my practice and during these months that I've been practicing so regular and with consistency meditation, I noticed that before I was jumping from one thing to another. I was checking my social media all the time. I was like not able to read one page on a book, not even to watch a movie because I was like not with any any focus, to be honest. I was feeling like in the kitchen doing many things, and over the time, like now I can see it, I can read, I can enjoy some activities that require focusing. But also I realized that in real life I'm having like impulse control. I'm not reacting as before. Now I'm more conscious. I'm feeling like some stimulus in daily life or something, and I think about react, and then I just regulate and say there is no point to react on that way. Better I'm doing this, and I start to think and have more options on my mind and solve the problems like with more control. And the emotional stability, it's been like also present. Like I feel even like more love, for my family, for my partner. Like I don't feel fear about some things that probably triggers my fears before. So that's very important to claim your attention back. And other thing that is happening during meditation, it's like you are cultivating awareness. And by observing your thoughts instead of reacting to them, you create that space of awareness. And this is where change happens, not because life changes, but because your relationship to it changes. Like awareness is when you have the ability to observe your thoughts, and then you can have an internal process of decision of react or not react, of create what you want to create. So it's very, very important when you are trying to claim back the control of your life, because with awareness you are able to control your life. And what is one thing that I want to highlight as well is like meditation, it's a simple practice. Is not complex. It's grounded, and it's very simple, practical tool. You don't you don't need anything complicated. You just need a place to sit or even lay down or to stand. You need to bring your attention to your breath, probably do some exercises with your inhalation, exhalation, and observe. No, not control, not fix, just observe. There is many techniques of meditation. Like, to be honest, few years ago, I was initiated in Kriya Yoga. It's one of the techniques that I follow and practice, but also I've been experiencing like my own way to do some things, like because you start to feel like more intuition, like you feel some things work better on you, some things no. But my basics are, my foundations are from Kriya Yoga. But there is many ways to practice meditation. If you are keen on meditation, curious, you want to practice, like you have material online or you can look for someone to teach you how to meditate, um, just look for that information and practice meditation. Meditation is a key to control your life. And I mean, like, during meditation, you you control your breathing, you control also your body, and you are more conscious of your body. You put your mind in certain parts of your body, so where your attention goes, your energy flows. So you are activating your system as well. And very much, um, when you practice and train in meditation, you are uh, balancing your nervous system, claiming back your attention, and developing awareness. So pretty much, like before, like a long time ago, probably I was looking so different ways to probably control my life, but I think this is the one I found much better, and it was meditation for sure. And we spend a lot of time trying to control external conditions, but life is inherently uncertain. There will be always pressure, change, unknown outcomes. So the real question is not how do I control everything, but how do I remain stable within uncertainty? And calm is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to remain regulated in their presence. And this is where meditation becomes something much deeper than a technique. It becomes a form of freedom. And who was probably listening to chapters, episodes before, who is following this channel, knows that we are in the middle of a freedom mission, and meditation is one of the keys to get that freedom, and it's working. So as a final reflection, I just want to say that probably we don't need to solve our entire life to feel calm. We don't need perfect conditions. What we need is the ability to regulate our bodies, focus on our attention, observe our minds, because in the end, like, we don't control everything that happens, but we can train ourselves how to respond. And in that space between a stimulus and response, that's where your freedom is. So thank you, everyone. And this was another episode of The Older Brother and how to stay calm when life feels out of control. Practice meditation, practice meditation, and practice meditation. See you next time.